I like that diagnosis.
Yeah, that's good.
I think
Good
like
a very cute case.
I first met Ken in the early '80s, and I was very impressed. He was a very impressive individual, very tall, handsome. Always reminded me of Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
And there's some connection there somewhere in the universe.
A little bit of the Zigzag Man.
Yeah, the Zigzag Man, yeah. But I remember even from one of the last time I saw him right before the end, where he had a good day, where we actually really shared a conversation, and I had stopped by Oak Creek, and I think, Sandra, you were out at the store or something, and the caregiver was there with him, and Ken was, she was helping feed him his lunch, and I sat there for a while and visited, and Ken just like, because he savored the quality of, he was really into quality, and he had the most amazing food there, and it was like the biggest, most lush, just succulent strawberries you've ever seen, and fresh fruits, and this seafood, all this amazing gourmet, and she was feeding him, and he kept eating, and just kept eating, and I sat there, and I just kept thinking, well, you know, I'm pretty impressed with his appetite, and just kept going. I was doing one more strawberry, and she just was like, she just every fruit, he was just savoring every morsel. I was sitting there. Basically, I was starting to. I wasn't hungry when I got there, but by the end, I had to just go find.
I want some.
It was like, you know, what's that movie, Tom Jones, where they have this sort of orgasmic sort of deal where they're just, it was just, every bite was just that way. It was really fun to see Ken just really savoring, you know, every moment and the richness of life in that way, and that whimsical side of him. And I saw a number of times back at the restaurant in the early days, and Susan and I got to play down in the playa with him, but and I remember that one time when he came up, and I had gotten a ticket to see one of my favorite musicians, Steve Winwood, and it was this one night he was playing at the Fillmore, and Susan had arranged for Ken to come over for dinner, and I'm not sure.
I remember that night.
I remember that.
And so
we were not
everybody
there.
comes for dinner, and I'm apologizing. I'm saying, you know, Susan didn't realize that I had bought this ticket a while ago, and this is like my favorite musician to me. It's just like, we go see Steve Winwood at this venue, and Ken goes, hey, I'd like to go too. I said something like, it'll be really great, and Ken goes, yeah, it sounds like it'll be really great. I go, you want to go? He goes, well, yeah, heck, sounds like fun to me. And I mean, it was like Ken he was only half serious, but just the fact that Ken was so whimsical and just silly that he would go, yeah, let's go to, meanwhile there's a dinner being hosted for him by my lovely wife. Ken's 1 foot out the door with me to go to the show. It was just, I was really impressed. He wouldn't dare leave the house, but it was.
He knew better.
He knew better, but he appreciated, you know, that spontaneity. And I think he had that. We did that when we went diet. Every day was just like an unscripted. What should we do today? Let's just play and have fun. And he really loved life. Mm-hmm. And that's something, like you say, he won't on his epitaph. It's not saying that he waited for the phone to ring or something. He really made life happen. Yeah.
You have to get the boy alive inside him. His whole life.
I love the pictures in the DVD of Ken on the phone, because that's one of my pictures of him. He was always on the phone.
Yeah, he was.
And this is before he got sick. You know, every visit though, it was like the phone would start ringing the minute Ken's visit would start, and he'd have a 2-week-long visit at our house routinely twice a year for years. And so the minute he would arrive, I'd say, don't even bother answering the phone, because it's gonna be for Ken. This is before cell phones, or his phone didn't work, you know, in the States. And it was true. He was always picking up that phone, making a plan, you know, talking and working the deal.
Hold forth for several hours.
We just stopped answering it, because it was hardly ever for us. And even if people did try to get us, it was busy. We didn't have the fancy service, right? So it was always busy, and that was fine with me. It was just amazing what a social life he could maintain.
Susan, I don't know your kids. I feel such a loss, because Ken never stopped talking about how wonderful they were and how special they were to him. And he really felt they were part of his family.
Well, they felt he was a part of our family, and Lauren was talking about, and one of our stories that we remember is that, he was there for both of their births. I had them at home and with a midwife, and Ken and Ariel were there with a few other people, and one of the most, beautiful moments of Lauren's birth, just after she arrived to the world, he went and filled the house with ranunculus flowers. So she has this story and this memory of her birthday, her very first day, just and Ken filling the house with flowers. So now when she and I see ranunculus, we think of that day and Ken just celebrating in this beautiful way. And she was remarking to someone that she's known them and Ken since like minutes after her birth, and how remarkable it is to say that you know somebody that long in life. So they mean a lot to him, I know, and he meant a lot to them. And Ken, I've known Ken over half my life, and he's witnessed just all the major events for me. And I love that he came in and he always accepted all the passages, and he was there for my first marriage and the births of my children, and he was there for our wedding, which felt like such a gift that he was all the way in Mexico and he could be there for our day. And he really was always there, continuing his love and support. And I felt like he missed, a lot of stories about Lauren and Cameron, because so much happens, in the years that kids grow up. You see them and they're this big, and the next time they're that big. But he always was so sort of accepting of their lives and loving, and they always felt like he was just there, a part. And he seemed to always accept them, no matter how much he missed or how unfamiliar he might be with just what was current. And one of the last, when he visited and stayed in my house in June, there was a night that there was a lot going on, and it turned out that it was Lauren and Ken who were kind of on their own, and they went out to a movie together. And I was thinking with Emma and Ken having their video night together that, how special that he chose that one of his precious evenings, that he's in the Bay Area and he has all these friends to see, that he chooses to go out to see a movie with Lauren. And she really felt the gift of that. And I know that whenever we had opportunities to visit, Cameron came to the hospital, and when Ken had his first surgery, Gil and Cameron and I went and we visited Ken. And it's just amazing to know that even with as much distances that they've had and that we've had with Ken, because he's been in Mexico, that he just kind of has come in, and there's just that wonderful sense of importance and appreciation and family and devotion, just needing to be there, and for them with him and he with them. And I just feel like it was a gift just to all of us to share that special extended family and just the gift of his beautiful friendship and love. But I have to just add on a little bit to what Gil was commenting on, because I don't know if there has been enough spoken about Ken's sense of humor and his cleverness and silliness, which is why I had two photographs. There was that one with the snarl, and then there was just this really peaceful, pensive, very handsome-looking man, and I thought, oh no, I have to bring the snarl.
Forget the
So
handsome
often,
guy.
I mean, he has such a funny, witty sense of humor and so much playfulness in him, and I just really enjoyed how he brightened up a conversation or a day with his silliness and fun and wit. And I remember after we had, Sonny and I and Ken and Ariel were really a foursome for a period, and then we sort of interestingly divorced near the same time. And Ken and I used to go on practice dates together. It was kind of like this intermediate step when we were friends, so it would be safe enough to go out and be at dinner. And we would sort of joke about our practice dates and how we would, order dinner, and then we'd go out and we'd walk. And it was all just in such silliness. And we had fun. It was fun to play, and then fun to be silly.
The strawberries really made me want to eat the strawberries.
Yeah, we have that kind of strawberry from the farmer's market this morning that I have prepared as part of our dessert table. They're all ready for immediate gratification. If you want Sandra to put one in your mouth, maybe she is. That's between the two of you. You have to work that out. She's not feeding anybody any strawberries anymore.
We all know about his love of chocolate, though.
Yeah,
So
that's true. We
had
have
to get a
true
huge
Ken.
chocolate
Strawberries
cake.
and chocolate.
So
Ken.
you have to
So-
eat a really big piece of it in honor of Ken.
Oh.
No shirkers.
Oh,
No
no.
shirkers, a really big one.
But I have one
So it's
last,
all gone at the end.
but I have one last thing I have to say that Ken had his 60th birthday party at Kay's in Peters, and I couldn't go because my dad was on his last few days of his life, and it was right the day before your wedding, Susan and
Yeah.
Bill,
Yeah.
and
It was the day after our
the
wedding.
day after your wedding. So
Yeah.
he came here on the way to your wedding or on the way from your wedding, and then I couldn't go to the birthday party because I didn't think my dad was going to make it that day. And then Ken, the next day, he came over with a huge piece of chocolate cake that was left over from his 60th birthday, a bottle of champagne with the umbrella sticking out of it, and a half-gallon of fresh squeezed orange juice. And he sat at my dad's bed and he fed my dad his last meal.
Wow.
That was the last time my dad was really alert and
Could eat.
could eat. He only had a few bites, but it was the size of it that mattered. Ken knew that, you know, it's the idea of abundance and
Rich.
joy, and you know, and it was really lovely because he sat there with my dad, and they didn't have to talk, you know, but they did. They were really the last bites and last alertness. My dad died 2 days later, and Ken left that same day or the next day, and I called Ken and I said, "You saw him out,"
Yeah.
and it was great for Ken to know. You know, it was really
That was a
sweet.
jam-packed weekend.
It was a jam-packed.
I didn't even know that part of it
Yeah.
until you told me a while ago,
The
but
wedding of the decade.
it was the wedding of the decade, a
Yeah.
great 60th birthday.
Never
One of the
been
best
there.
parties ever at my house.
Ken commented on how honored he felt that you guys chose to come to his birthday party. That was always a very a repeated story that he would tell on how significant he felt, honored.
Oh, good.
Oh, he was a special friend.
Yep.
Thinking his big boy.
Hi, Harry and
in the
Eileen.
skylight.
We had a lovely celebration of Ken's
So you think,
life
so
today,
you're
and
just,
had wonderful,
Yeah, of course. They
warm
nailed the
remembrances of him
the
and
T
how
and
he
G
lives
around
on
the
in
rack
our
was up
hearts,
above.
and
They just tacked
all
these
kinds of
on,
stories about him when he started his
I said, no, look at it. I said,
career,
why
and what a wonderful friend and
You
brother
need to go
and
back
family
to
member
con-
he's
you need to go
been.
back to construction.
Missing
I don't have
you,
enough-
send you
enough
both
doing
all of
there.
our
You're
love,
walking around looking at
and
this
we
kind
had
of
some
stuff.
time to share about what a wonderful family Ken came from.
But then you gotta
Hope to
pass
see
the
you soon.
California's
Bye-bye.
contractor's license. I don't know if we'll come down and visit
So you have to look at this,
Sandra or not.
what the spread is, the chocolate cake and
Barry,
pie.
I'll be seeing you next week.
Where are you gonna see Barry?
I have a toilet.
And here's our get-together.
Four most affluent cities: Atherton, Hillsborough, Woodside, and
All wishing you the best, Harry and Eileen.
Oh, probably has.
Well, isn't this a beautiful setting for the last California memorial for Kenneth Allen Zugman
No, the lesson is don't put crazy glue in your pocket.
in California?
He's like, hey, I gotta go.
And these are his
I was like, okay.
extended family, Susan and Gil,
I know. And after he's sitting
Sandra,
there soaking in
Andy,
half the
15 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
Don,
My fingers
who
are
looks
stuck.
totally different.
I could totally
Playa.
understand. I've been in those
Christy with her,
situations,
the back of her head here.
Why did I even pick up the phone?
You want to see
Boy,
my
Peter
driver's
and
license
Kay.
so you'll know
All
who I,
stuck to my
who I used to
motorcycle
look
key now.
like?
It's
You want to
still
see my
soaking,
driver's
hoping
license
that
so
will
you
come
can...
on. Otherwise, I've got to go get a new key.
All right, so Harry and Eileen, we're going to bid this lovely gathering goodbye.
It was their
Sandra-
brochures and
Sandra?
information was really confusing to me. There was one price if you were in the theater,
See.
which I think you were able to see certain
Sandra, say
speakers that
goodbye
you
to
couldn't
Harry and
see if you had
Eileen.
a ticket for being in tents.
Bye, Harry and Eileen.
Usually they
Lots
have
of
a
kisses.
cheap ticket.